Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hello. Wait. So they said a lot. Okay. So if we're switching over to private chat, hold on. I'm still learning all this. Don't mind. Okay.
You shouldn't have done that.
Hello,
Oh.
everyone. Hold on. Private chat. All right. Are we live? Are we live?
Yes.
Yes, we are live.
Hey.
We are
Hey,
recording.
everyone. How's it going, everyone? I am. Well, this is our first time using StreamYard, so bear with us. I am just learning the ropes here. So if anyone can see what we're saying, hello, thank you. Bear with us for a minute. We are. This is our first time using StreamYard. There we go. Bear with us. I am just learning the ropes here.
Eric, please mute your YouTube.
I am.
All streamers, please mute your YouTube channels.
Oh, whoever it wasn't me. Hello, everyone. Okay, now we're live. We are live. Hey, everyone. How you guys are doing? I hope everyone is doing great. The Orville community has risen, are live, and we are here today live, 7 o'clock on April 29th, 2020. We hope that everyone out there in Orville land are staying safe and everything during this time of craziness. But we are here to bring you guys back down to earth. Ha ha ha. And so basically, we're starting this right off the gate. Tonight, a bunch of us decided to get together, some of the cast, some of the crew, and some of the people who are the voice of the Orville fandom to get together to do a QA. And we're going to be probably doing this like a couple times throughout the show, the process of what we are doing. I'm basically Eric the Smoke Moran. I am the creator of the Orville fan series, A Planetary Step. And I basically decided to start sharing with the fans what the process is like. We did not expect to have an overwhelming response within the Orville community and along with people that are new to the fandom of the Orville. And it has been really a blessing in the skies. I have been an avid fan of the Orville, besides being a fan of Seth MacFarlane's. And so I decided to put a quick story together within the Orville universe, and it kind of took off. And at first, it was almost like a pilot, but we're going to get more into that in a little bit. So let me go around the room and introduce everyone, and then we'll come back and I'll start off, and then we'll take it from there. We're also going to be later on. We're going to do some QA. We're going to be asking questions. If people want to ask us any questions, anybody on the crew and staff, please do. And also, if you hang in there with us, we're going to show you guys an exclusive showing of something that's going to be coming up within our series. So again, this is my first time hosting or co-hosting this great, awesome live QA. So welcome again. Thank you guys for coming out, supporting, help spread the word, subscribe, and we're going to start right around the table, starting with Jace. So I'm looking at the order here. Jace, let's start off with you. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, I am Jace, also known as Jason Griffin. I do the digital effects house for A Planetary Step. I also designed the Eisenberg ship that you will see in the video. Just save that rest for later. You can follow me on any social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Jace Knockout Productions. And yeah, I am the guy that makes the magic happen as far as digital effects and animations go.
So can you give us a little bit more background about like how you got started and everything?
Yes, I got started right out of high school. I went to art school. I went to International Academy of Design and Technology and also Full Sail University. I got a degree in photography and graphics, and I'm also doing motion graphics as well. And my inspirations just come from film, watching all the Spielberg, Zemeckis films, anything with ILM. That's all me. That's stuff I like. That's what I want to do. That's my wheelhouse.
All right. So, and forgive me because I should have been a gentleman and said ladies first. So we're going to jump right over to one of the first ladies of our Orville series, fan series. we have the one and only, the awesome, the talented, the beautiful Joe Colton.
Hi, everybody. You know, Jace might have been a lady. You don't know.
Right? You don't know.
Well, that's
How
good.
dare you assume my gender?
So, Joe, tell us
Yes.
what you do, what you're doing, what you're, what you do on the series, and everything else in between.
Okay. I'm Joe Colton. I'm a cosplayer. I do also some voice acting. I've done a Call to Duty and Project Define. It's a online Star Trek series for novels. And I've done a lot of fan films with Eric, and have had a blast doing it. And now the newest one is A Planetary Step. I've known Eric for almost 10 years. So I'm dating myself, but it's okay.
It's been that long. Wow.
Shh,
Okay.
don't draw attention to it.
And talk about more what you do on the series.
I am a recently promoted captain of the Starlighter, and I am a very good friend of Eric's character.
And what's your character's name? Because fans are gonna be like, "What is her character's name?"
Yes. My character's name is Lorraine.
Okay. So you're a captain, huh?
I am the captain.
Or at least one of the captains on the series.
One of the captains, yes. And
Wow.
you just did spoilers. What if somebody hasn't seen it yet?
Well, I mean, they'll see it. If they haven't, they'll see it now. They'll be motivated to see it.
That's true.
They'll be motivated to see it. Next up, I'm going to introduce one of our head writers. And I mean, again, someone who's very talented. He basically dives into a lot of different areas and in sci-fi fandom, not just with Orville, but with Doctor Who and a lot of other stuff. This is another person that I revere very highly. I give you, ladies and gentlemen, Brian Terranova of Terra Solo Pictures.
Hi, everyone. As Eric said, I am one of the writers of The Planetary Step, and I can be found online pretty much anywhere. You can type Terra Solo, you'll find me. But aside from that, I am pretty active in, as he said, the Doctor Who community and so on. My most recent fan film short was born out of all of this COVID-19 isolation, and it's actually called Doctor Who Isolation, and you can find that on YouTube as well as a fun little mockumentary for a behind-the-scenes look at how it was made. I'm also a podcaster for Kasterberus.co.uk, which is a Doctor Who website. So it's the podcast with a K, if you want to look that up. And I have pretty much known a few of these faces for a couple of years now as well. We seem to keep meeting somehow. But yeah, anyway, Eric and I have worked on many films together. You may have seen our Doctor Who Legacy series as well. And I met him at a con, and he stuffed me into the boot of a car and told me, "You're going to write film." So here I am.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to expand on before we introduce the next person? Brian?
I think I'm good.
Okay, you're good. All right. So the next person I'd like to introduce, this gentleman here is the voice, one of the voices of Orville fandom. To me, he was one of the people that I kept in contact with, besides other people that to me are voices of the Orville fandom. But again, this is one of the positive entities within the Orville fan community. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the head of the Orville Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you PJ. PJ, welcome to our live feed.
Well, thank you, Eric. It's such an honor to be here with Jason and Brian and Joe and yourself. It's just an honor to be here. Thank you for the invite.
You're more than welcome. So can you tell everyone a little bit of background about Orville Nation and what it's all about, and just overall, give everyone a synopsis about everything that you do within the Orville community and beyond.
So basically, Orville Nation is just is a fan community for the Orville, and our intention was to kind of bring fans together into a community, because at the beginning of a fandom, people are kind of all over the place, and and we wanted to have a place where we can all come together and like you're doing today, a place where we can come together on Eric's channel as well to talk Orville.
Okay. All right. And not to knock anyone, but I had to say the best for last because, he wouldn't have it any other way. And we all know he would not have it any other way. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my really oldest friends, this gentleman here, he is the CEO of J1 Studios. He's also the CEO and creator of one of the top animes in Philadelphia and New Jersey and the tri-state area. Ladies and gentlemen, he's also a creator of one of the newest, fastest rising card games that's out right now. You'll see his face everywhere. All you got to do is type up Spider-Man and you'll probably see his face. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to introduce to you the one and only Jason Richardson of J1 Studios.
Howdy, y'all. How's it doing? I just got done pooping. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Richardson. I created J1 Studios. I created the anime and gaming convention, J1 Con. I've also created the cosplay prom that was in Philly, now in Atlantic City. Right now, one of the big projects that I'm working on, besides A Planetary Step, because that is something I'm directing. I'm directing it. I've also I'm a game developer, and we're putting out a tokusatsu. For those who don't know tokusatsu, just think Power Rangers influenced fighting card game titled VT Heroes, and it's getting so much love online and from the actual Power Rangers. I'm hyped about that. Now I want to say thank you to one of my oldest homies, Eric the Smoke Moran, because he hit me up and said, "I need you to direct this thing here." I said, "All right." And then if you watch the behind the scenes that's on the YouTubes, you're gonna find out that I make black men cry, because that's what I do as a professional. I love you, Brian Taylor. I miss you so much. Like we go way back, and this is the first time I've seen you in how many years? I miss you.
It's been too long. I know. I miss you too. But hey, we're here now. I can almost reach out and touch your square. Wait 1 second. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there.
Just a tip.
It's just so much love here. It's just so much love.
He called you a gentleman, and you are being an interesting individual.
I'm still being a gentleman because I will still get him an Uber home.
What more could you ask for, really?
No walk of shame for my Brian.
We're getting so much love here. There's so much love during a gathering like this, and of course my phone now is blowing up, which is crazy. So basically, I'm just kicking off questions, and then also PJ, anytime you want to interject and ask questions, stuff I might miss. Basically, how A Planetary Step got started, as you heard earlier. It was an idea I came up with. I decided to turn around because I was an avid Orville fan. I mean, seriously, since the Next Generation, I wanted to see Trek being brought to the table again with everything that's happening along the fandom. I wanted to see something fresh. With the Orville, that gave you something fresh, something out of the box that you did not expect. And since it's like first and second season, 2 seasons that it came out, I was kind of like, just like after the first season, I was drawn in. I was like, and what happened was I cosplayed my Orville uniform and sent it to Seth MacFarlane and on Twitter. And next thing I know, Seth MacFarlane tweets it on his Twitter page. And so along the lines, like, he's ready for duty. And next thing you know, it was like people were saying, "You need to get the guy on the show. You need to get the guy on the show." And I'm like, he's a big dude and all this stuff. And I thought I was laughing about it because I've done other Star Trek and other fan films. I did my Star Trek fan film that featured Stan Lee. It was a rare opportunity that we got Stan to be a part of it. He's never done any Star Trek fan films. Working with different productions of Star Trek fandom. But because of things that were happening around the fandom, as far as just basically being restricted to be able to create, I just felt kind of down because I couldn't continue on with my series at the time. So I thought about it, and I was thinking, and as I'm watching the Orville series, I was like, you know what? How cool would it be? I mean, I'm getting the positive response in uniform. How cool would it be if I did a fan film that surrounded the Orville? As I'm thinking about it, moving forward, doing writing ideas on paper. Next thing I know, I'm at a show. A good friend of mine, Aaron Eisenberg, who played as Nog on Deep Space Nine, he and I go back almost 10 years. A good friend of mine. We were planning on him coming here to Philadelphia. We were going to be doing some stuff for one of the shows here that I'm a part of for Great Philadelphia Comic Con. When he passed away, it's kind of sudden. It really kind of struck a chord with me, and I was really kind of depressed. So I just started just writing, and I wanted to just incorporate like this story and the idea. And I was like, I wanted to also find a way to pay tribute to Aaron because, again, Aaron was a very bright light, and he and I were close in age and everything. So I was telling to someone, I said, you know, how cool would it be if I named my starship after Aaron? And someone was like, yo, I think that'd be a great tribute to him. The next year, you know, it started taking shape. I reached out to Brian, and Brian and I have done other projects together, including our, like Brian mentioned, our Doctor Who series, Legacy. When I reached out to him, I was like, listen, I'm putting together this treatment. I want to see what you think. And he, you know, basically picking his brain and everything else. And all this is happening, I'm watching Egotastic Fun Time. Egotastic Fun Time, my boy JP, who's the host of it. Here he's talking about so much positivity within the Orville community. And it was nice and refreshing to see that. And I was like, wow, I was following him. I've been watching his programs. He's always funny, very uplifting. So the next thing I know, I reached out to JP. And JP, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing an Orville fan film. How would you feel about making an appearance on my film? JP says, yeah, I'm with that. So me and JP had a lot of discussions, keeping in contact, putting the ideas and everything in motion. And as everything started progressing and a story started formulating, the next thing I know, I turn around and we got a script. And picking JP's brain as a fan of the Orville, we wanted to make sure the dialogue stayed true. Everything, we hit all the beats of what the Orville was about. So the next thing moving forward, I reached out to Jason, and since Jason and I have worked on other projects, Jason was like, yeah, I'll be more than happy to help you out with this. You know, reached out to my buddy John Royster, who's a longtime friend, asked him to play the Admiral. I wanted to have a female counterpart that basically kept me in check, who basically was in sync with me. And Joe was ideal because Joe and I did Trek Isolation together and other projects. And everything's just started falling into place. We filmed this, and it took us a day to film. We did dialogue. JP and I, who have, even though we never met in person, but because we coordinated so much and corresponded so much, JP and I did script. We read script. I remember Joe driving all the way 3 hours just to come to film it and do script reading and everything else. And everything started just coming together. And it took us like 24 hours to film, 48 to 72 hours in post, just to make this come together. So just to give you guys an idea of the process. Reaching out to famed artist Angela McKendrick. She's done other film projects for me as far as posters, and the legendary Crisscross from DC and Marvel Comics and Valiant Comics. He's just an artist legend. Asked him to do the poster, and it picked up so much responses, so much positive response. And the next thing you know, it started becoming its own thing. PJ was one of the people within the Orville fan community, besides JP, that I reached out to. I was sending him stuff, sharing with the Orville fandom. to see how people reacted, and it was a positive thing, and keeping in contact with him. And the next thing you know, I was just like keeping my fingers crossed and hoping that the response was well. And the next thing you know, it took off. So with that, it just made sense after the response that I wanted to do. I said, instead of doing a fan film, just a one-off and a short, I'm going to make this into a series, a fan series, and paying respects to the show, but doing our own thing. And it took off from there. So that's to give you all a summary of what and how the process went. We're going to do a more deep dive. So anybody that wants to jump in and speak on it, please, guys, Jason, or no, better yet, let's go right to the writing with Brian. Brian.
Well, never mind then. I ain't gonna say nothing anyway.
No, we're gonna come to you because you say a lot. We know you got a lot to say, but Brian,
I was trying to say you talk a lot.
Let's go through the process, man. When I reached out to you, like, what does it take to write a good story? And what did you like? Were you familiar with the Orville or anything prior to this?
I had seen the entire first season and about half of the second. I kind of dropped off, not because I wasn't enjoying the show. I was really enjoying the show. I have to catch up on it, but because I dropped off on a lot of things at the time. Long story short. So what does it take to write a good story? First is a keyboard. It's a good thing to start with. You want to have that connected to a computer. It's a good combination. Once you put those two things together, everything starts going. No, you and I talk about this a lot in depth. Basically, when you're doing a fan series, Doctor Who, Star Trek, or the Orville, something that is set in a world that is not our own, and by that has special effects and ships and so on, and space and aliens and so on. How do you faithfully recreate something like that is the number one question that you always have to start with. Do you have the luxury of having a set standing in your home? Great, awesome, wonderful. What kind of story are you going to tell now? But if you don't, where are you going to go? And we always go for stories that are from the heart, stories that have meaning to us, and stories that have some kind of message connected to them in some way, more personalized stories. And I think, honestly, even if you had the budget for a multi-million-dollar picture, you want to tell those stories anyway. So that was always our basis, starting by telling the story that we just wanted to see, just a good story at heart, something that wasn't trying to be grandiose or be different in some way, just something that we thought was a good story. And this one here, we thought it was a good base for a story to kind of introduce our characters, our ship, into this world in a way that made the audience kind of relate to them and such, something that they can understand, which is, there is always at some point in our lives where one of us is unsure of ourselves at some point. And that was kind of our starting point.
Okay. And so jumping off of that from Brian, Jason, take us through what it was like as far as what you wanted and how you wanted to film this. And just take us through that process of like how you were looking to film this.
It was a lot of scented candles involved. I don't know. This is me coming new into, not into being a director, because I've directed other projects before. My first time directing a short. I'm used to directing a lot of commercials because I do a lot of J1Con commercials with like Cartoon Network. So we have like this whole cosplay, like battle scenes or whatever it is. But I'm used to directing that, So this was new for me. But you know what? I wanted to use some of the tricks that I've learned throughout the years and also stuff that I've seen in cinema that I've always wanted a chance to do. But because I'm doing commercials, you have 30 seconds to get a crap ton of information and also grab people's attention with splashes of, some kind of imagery. This this time I loved like looking at the script and seeing that there was like moments where a character was like getting deep and reflecting and all that stuff, and I wanted to do these like simple little panning tricks and zooming tricks that I can't do with 30 seconds, but I could do with a film or a series. So I wanted to stay as true to the vision of what Eric, had in mind. But as a director, you always have to put your spin on it, your taste. And I tried to just find a happy medium, and I think we've established that. I'm a very kind and patient director, Joe. And
I didn't do anything.
and then working with Eric, like I've worked with Eric a number of times. It's been a lot of shoots, 5 or 6 at least, I think, counting like the J1 stuff and like other projects we've worked on and stuff in the wrestling biz. And like, we've been friends for a long time, folks. I'm a vampire. Y'all saw me in Twilight. I was the one black guy in the entire town. I had no shirt on and a fur coat. I don't understand it.
That was yesterday.
Yo, there was only one black guy in that entire town. Like the whole town. I watched that movie. There was one black guy. But yeah, like some of the things that I wanted to do that I saw, I got to get real creative with, like chopping up some of the dialogue, because we had script, but the way Brian and Eric work on these treatments, they give a awesome like room for people to kind of go free with it. And I liked some of the dialogue that say, for example, that Joe had in one take, and then I liked the dialogue in another take, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put the two together and make it sound like it's one sentence, and it's gonna make an awesome speech. And I got to do those.
It was very smooth.
Like butter.
That is one thing about the productions that we do together that I've always worked on with Eric and even with you, Jason, is that, everybody's free to give their ideas. And typically the group is largely collective enough to sit there and go, you know what, that's good. Let's go with that one. And we seem to have this good symmetry between us and this good understanding of what makes a good story regardless. And I like that. And I do like the free form, because I can write dialogue for 50 people, but it doesn't mean the actor that's portraying that role is going to speak that dialogue in that way. That's my voice. They need to put it in their voice. And I love that we have that freedom. That's always, that should always be there. That should always be something. As long as the essence is in that scene, that's what's key.
Yeah, and I think that's what is making it work, is the fact that I wanted my actors to feel and become their characters. Basically, the people I've cast, as far as like main cast and everything else, the key thing is to be able to mirror a little bit of their personality within the script. So when I'm telling the story or I'm talking about an episode, it's like, okay, this mirrors a little bit of their personality. Maybe not whole, but like as far as my character, it mirrors a lot of my personality, different things that's happened with me, but at the same time, it still encompasses and it complements the story, the narrative of what's going on within the universe. Before I get to Jace, PJ, as far as someone within the community, like, give us your feedback. Like, talk about what do you look for when you're seeing like an Orville fan series, film, or anything of the sort? What do you look for, like when you want to watch a good quality series or anything?
Well, I mean, the great thing about fan films is that there's all kinds of fan films, and there's just the whole gamma that you can imagine. And I know there was a lot of anticipation with regards to your fan film coming out, and I think you guys successfully pulled something off, because you really teased everybody, and everybody wants more. Because you just give them a little bit, and now give them a little appetizer. Now they want the full course meal.
Well, I mean, I think that was one of the things that I remember, like I mentioned behind the scenes, I remember Brian was concerned about that because he said, "Are we calling this a fan film, or are we calling this a short?" And I was like, "Well, no, we're calling it a fan film because anything that you create, to me, is a fan film." I mean, but with the idea, when I start doing projects like this, I always like to keep it straight to the point. Don't give too much, but give just enough because you don't know, and especially in this day and age, people are very critical, even though I take criticism very well, good, bad, or indifferent. But to me, I wanted to not, throw in the heavy guns until I got the feel of what the pulse was like within the fan community. And that was the thing. I think that was the only biggest downside. And that made me feel good in one hand, and I remember one of the people that gave a great review, very candid, open review about our pilot. I like to call it the pilot now. Basically that, they hit all the beats, but it was too short. It was too short. So we're like, oh, it was too short? Okay. You want longer? We're going to give you everyone longer. So yeah, we're definitely going to keep it along the lines of that and stuff. Jace, now we're going to jump to you real quick.
All right.
Let's talk about the design of the ship, because I was actually introduced to you through Jason. And I remember seeing the first glance of the Eisenberg. And I mean, next to Chris Cross's artwork, I have not seen, I had never even thought or dreamed that, because that was the other question everybody was asking me. Are you going to how are you going to show the ship and all this stuff? So it was like you were like an answer to our prayers and all that. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about how that all went down.
Well, basically, I found out about the short, or the pilot. I took a look at it, loved what I saw, but it was missing that element, the fact that we're a sci-fi series based on a show that revolves around a ship without a ship. So I reached out to Jason. I said, hey, I got some ideas. I want to get this ship in motion, and I got her in motion.
I mean, after seeing the first design, I remember Jason was like, "Oh, I got something for you. I can't wait to show you. I got this guy and all this thing." And I'm like, "Huh? What?" And next thing I know, he's like, "I'm gonna make you cry again. I'm gonna make you cry." And he ended up doing that. He ended up making me cry again. Because at one point, I never even thought, in hindsight, at the time, I was like, "Well, I'm just gonna try to work around that. I got a 3D model. I'm gonna put on a green screen glove and just go across the green screen."
I mean, we can do a Star Wars style if you want. We can do some miniatures, some green screen if that's what you want.
And I thought about going there, but then after Jason showed me what you did, I was like, okay. But let's talk more about that. Like basically take us through what you envision as far as how the Eisenberg is.
Well, as far as how the Eisenberg is, I mean, the canon is already set. We have the style. We know what the ships look like. So essentially, I just took the Orville as a ship itself, expanded upon that class, which we all know the Orville is an exploration class cruiser. So right. What I do is I took upon that idea, scaled it down a little bit, because we make the Eisenberg a little more nimble, more faster. This is something that's taken place in a different part of the universe. We've seen some tears shed, blood's been shed. Mm-hmm. So we made something to then show where the universe is at right now and how the Eisenberg is to combat those new threats that we may be facing in the future.
Okay. And later on, for people that are tuning in, later on we're going to show a little bit of a special sneak preview, aren't we?
Yes, that is right.
Okay.
Stay tuned to the end. You'll get a surprise.
Yeah. So everyone, we're gonna have a little surprise for everyone that's tuned in, and we really appreciate everyone that's tuning in. The major thing is also we want people to spread the word. The other reason why I decided to do this also was to encourage other people to come out with their own Orville fan film. Shout out to my buddy Vance. Vance was one of the very first people to do an Orville short, an Orville fan film. And what was, oh man, the name of the it's on the tip of my tongue. Vance, forgive me, but Vance and I were friends, and I didn't even know he did one until someone brought it to my attention. And because people were like, "Well, are you guys considered the first Orville fan film?" I'm like, I guess we are. And then when I found that Vance did it, I was like, well, no. Vance also, he did his fan film years ago. And again, and that's what it's all about. It's all about everyone supporting each other. It's not about competition. For us, it's about a love. basically everything's coming out of my pocket. I don't believe in the idea of trying to ask for to raise money, because I feel that if it's a labor of love, it should come out of my pocket, or at least the bare minimum what I can do besides craft service and all, trying to show people that this is what we can do. So if I ever decide to do something original and I reach out to everyone, I'm saying, hey, we need to raise money, it's off an original IP idea. You know, again, I'm doing this as a labor of love. We all are part of this as a labor of love. Everyone's talent is being shown, and it's a way for everyone to be a part of, but at the same time, inspiring other people to want to do Orville fan films. That's the whole idea. We want other people to join in the fray and create stories within the Orville universe, showing that love for the show, showing the support to the cast and crew, and to be able to expand on that. Joe, as far as someone within, not just as an Orville fan, but within the community, you know, as someone who's a Star Trek fan and everything, and other science fiction shows, what do you like to see like more of within, like not just in our story, but just in general, like within the sci-fi fandom community?
Ooh, that's a low question, man.
But you kind of get the gist of what I'm asking.
Ooh, so I don't want to give anything away with our show, so I can't.
Well, no, not so much giving it away, but just talking about it overall. Like, what would you like to see as far as within the fandom? Because, you know, lately a lot of fan shows, movies, it's been like a lot of people have become more criticizing on everything that's going on. And I mean, I'm gonna go around the room and ask everyone this: what do you think that needs to be done to change the narrative of how people look and been, as far as being critical? Like, how is it that things can be changed to make it more positive instead of being a very over the top opinionated? In other words, and I'm all for
the internet.
What's that?
Get off the internet.
Well, I don't think that's ever going to change.
Way easy now, because I mean, we want people on the internet.
We are a web series.
Yeah.
But I mean, like before. All right, so Joe, I'm going to ask you first before I go to Brian and PJ, because you know these are gentlemen that also are heavily deep in the sci-fi community that sees a lot of things going on, and that was one of the things about Orville Nation, Egotastic Fun Time. They promote a lot of positivity. But Joe, starting off with you, give us your take.
I would say that there has to be a good story, right? You have to have good writing. There has to be a purpose for that episode. And I like all sci-fi, right? Good, bad, ugly, B-rated, D-rated. Like I've watched a lot of D-rated sci-fi, and there are moments where I just go months of watching just D-rated stuff. But I like the love of sci-fi. Like when I was growing up, we didn't have this much sci-fi everywhere. So like, and up north, there was like whatever we could get anyway, either from like Europe or from down here. So it wasn't as like available as it is down here in the US. So it's not like we didn't have anything in Canada, but it was like it's whatever you could get. Like if the network had a deal with an American channel and they had, you know, like a Star Trek, then you got Star Trek. If they had other things, then you got other things. But to get more positive, you gotta don't feed the fans what they want always, but make the stories interesting. Do things that push that envelope. Like Star Trek was a prime example, you know, Orville's a prime example. Like just push that envelope, make good stories, do characters justice. You know what I mean? Like build those characters, have stories around them. It doesn't have to be an ongoing story with one character, but you know, episodically, like one episode can be on one character and surrounded by all the other supporting characters. Being more positive, I think it depends on the person. Like some people are just negative. Like I want to see everything. Like, you know, you as my friends, you guys have so much creativity, and like I am inspired by that and I want to do more because of it. But other people just want to sit back and watch and like critique, which is fine. You know, you don't always have to be involved, but I don't know. I don't know. It fuels me to be more creative and like do more costumes, more makeup, more prosthetic stuff. So I guess I would like to see more aliens, like original aliens. So that way I can like do prosthetics.
First, I want to give a shout out to my boy JP from Egotastic Fun Time. He's been having a lot of internet problems, so he said, "Joloja, Planetary Step, my best to the team, support the fandom." So Bessie, shout out. Another shout out to Mark Lee. Question from Mark Lee. He says, "Do you plan to stick to canon, or are you interested in original ideas?" So, for me, I'm going to answer that and then go around the room. For me, we're definitely going to stick to canon. One of the questions I get is, where is this taking place at? We're taking place in the middle of, at the end, towards after the Kaylon attack, season 2. So these are taking place like what, 2-3 months afterwards. So all these little things happen. My character, Captain Gerald, he basically was one of the heroes. We're going to dive more deeper into all the characters and everything else. But yeah, and original ideas, definitely we're going to have original ideas. PJ, give us your take as far as someone who has an ear onto the pulse of the fandom within sci-fi, and not just Orville, but just overall. What do you think people are looking to see and want?
So I think that good sci-fi is all about the human experience in the setting of the world, you know, that's been created. So within that framework, it's all about the human experience. You know, what like we have this human experience, you know, right now in the time period we're in, and I think it's interesting that Seth wanted to explore regular time. There's a lot of off-duty time on the Orville, and I think that's fairly interesting. And I think a lot of fans are looking for just like the general human experience, apart from the story. I mean, apart from the action or the plot of the story, just like to see what is life really like in the Orville universe.
Fortune, was it 14 Barbara? I hope I said it right. Lead by example. The more everyone puts forward positivity, the more infectious it is. And that's very true. Shout out to Mondo Merck. You know, Mondo says very cute with the baby. Brian, what about you? As far as someone who's not only in science fiction, Doctor Who, what is your take? Because again, you're one of those people that we talk about a lot of things within the sci-fi community. What is your take on it?
I mean, I think it's the same as any story, really. Any TV show that you watch these days, it doesn't have to be sci-fi. Any movie, it doesn't have to be sci-fi. I just want a good story. I want interesting characters, interesting character arcs, and things that you can possibly relate to on some level, even if it's something that, you know, you can't yourself do or wouldn't see yourself doing. You can relate to the situation, something you can understand, the dilemma that the character is facing. I think one of my biggest gripes with sci-fi today is too many TV shows and movies nowadays are being revived, brought back. You know, we're no longer doing remakes per se, not always anyway. We're doing a revival. We're bringing things back, but we've got to shake it up. We've got to change everything you knew about the past and move forward now. And I disagree with that. I think, yes, you should always be moving forward. That is a huge thing. TV shows, movies should always be moving forward, telling new and interesting stories. But they shouldn't be changing the things that we love about the past. Just because a new generation has come along, you know, and I get that, it doesn't mean that we should leave everything behind. That stuff should be loved for what it is. When Hollywood was big on doing remakes, and I'll be honest, you know, there are certain remakes that somehow I sit there and I'm like, hey, this is a pretty good film. But on the whole, I kind of feel remakes are kind of sad because a lot of people don't know the original work. And some of those original works are amazing, you know, and it's kind of sad to see remakes. I like the revivals. I think that's fun, but I think they need to be treated with a bit more respect. And I think they need to understand this is how much time has passed. Let's move forward. Let's figure out where these characters have been since we last saw them and explore their lives now. Stop going backwards. Let's just stop going backwards. But I think the key thing is I do agree with the thought that it should be a human experience in a way. It should definitely be relatable. It should be emotional. I do think that there should definitely be fun and adventure. That's something I do miss in some things. I think we've talked about this with Doctor Who. I kind of feel like a lot of times the fun and adventure is missing in the show now. But realistically, it's just what grabs the audience, what grabs you. And I think pretty much nowadays, any TV show or movie that I watch, I'm looking to relate to someone, their emotional journey. And I think that's very key. And I think that kind of should be held above all else. While at the same time, I definitely want a good and grand story. Let's look at the Avengers movies. You know, they did a hell of a good job with those last two movies. I mean, with all of them, but with those last two movies, giving a grand space adventure, but at the heart of it, you know, making us cry in the end. That's what we need. That's definitely what we need. We need to know that we went on a journey together, and damn, did it hit us hard.
That's good. Jamila Howard, who actually she is we're going to be talking with her in another week or two. She says, I agree. Comics that do that also are changing origins of characters we love for years. I like and respect the original writers to make something new. So, I mean, jumping on that, I mean, would you agree? Like, you want some more original ideas for characters?
Me? Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what, the X-Files came back a couple of years ago, and which any fandom nowadays was hit with a lot of criticism. And, you know, it's kind of sad because they did some good things, and there were certain changes and alterations to the storyline that I wasn't happy with. But if you sat there and watched what they were doing and kind of did your own math work, the way you always had to do with a TV show like the X-Files, things still do work. But a lot of fans had too many years to sit there and wait for the story that they thought they deserved. So they got angry and they lashed out on the internet, as they do. And probably rightly so. Maybe the writers shouldn't have changed some of the things that they changed. And I think that's kind of where the issue comes from. You want to always, when you create, when you bring something back, you always want the intent. Number one is to bring in a new fan base. When Doctor Who came back in 2005, they weren't looking to service us, the old fans. They knew we were going to watch. They were looking to generate a new fan base. That's key. You need that, but you still want to make that old fan base feel welcome. And I think new ideas for sure are always needed. I mean, you don't want to sit there and watch a rehash of the same old story and the characters go through the same things. I want to see them go through a lot, but I don't want to see what I already saw them go through be rewritten. So that's me. New ideas are always great, and I am good for a left field idea anytime, any day of the week. I love a good story that just throws a massive curveball at you, or you know, again, the X-Files revival. There was an episode where there was hardly any dialogue. Brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant, and it was two female writers as well, which should be noted, I think. You know, and it was an absolutely brilliant story, I thought.
Well, not only that, but people forget that it was a woman who basically pushed the whole idea for Doctor Who in the first place, way back when BBC started out and back in the 60s. People forget about
and
it.
Even the revival was brought back because two female executives said, "Hey, I think it's time." Yeah. And then they contacted Russell. They said he's the guy. So yeah.
Guillermo agrees with you. He said he's back short away. Mandel Merck says that's why I love David. I'm hoping I'm not pronouncing it right. Melinci and Todd McFarlane's run on Spider-Man, and this is something, Jason, I want to touch base with you on so much. They kept it true to the original and found a way to respect what came before while adding future developing it all. Jason, like, as far as someone also who's in the community, like, do you agree? Like, do you feel that there's so much creativity that can come from off the base of like original characters that you can expand on that to enrich that character more?
Yeah, I have my issues. Being a caught it. Thought you were slick. Being a comic book writer, artist, working on stories, games, like plots and all that stuff is, there's no original storyline ever in the world, ever. But it's how you tweak it that makes it unique. Oh, thank you. Now, I do have issue with some of the remakes and some of the alterations just to pander. You can tell when a studio is pandering to a demographic, and that bothers me. Like, don't make a black character just to make a black character so you can get the blacks. Let's get the blacks on our show. Like, they'll follow, they'll spend money. We'll just make this character black.
Or even when they talked about that whole female-driven show or whole, and again, someone pointed this out. Why talk about female-driven? Why not just say, hey, we got a new show that's coming up, and it's got this great actress and a team of other great actresses that are going to be casted for this, or great actors, actresses within the story. And that's the thing that people need to realize and get off the title of, okay, we're going to say female narrative or Asian narrative or African American or what have you. Just tell me, as I said before, tell us good stories. And that's what, like, A Planetary Step is about, telling good stories. I don't care about political ideology or anything else. I just want to tell good stories. And if there's some layers to it where it's a hidden message within the story without jamming it down your throat, then we're doing a good job. And you're like, wait a second. Oh, that was good. That's what Star Trek did growing up when I was watching classic Star Trek and all. That's what it's all about. Jace, because we got to jump on it. As far as someone also, because you and I have talked about sci-fi and everything else,
right?
What's your viewpoint on it? Like, do you agree, or do you feel that there's something more that should be added on to that?
Well, in terms of sci-fi, it's like what Joe said, that character development. A lot of people enjoy Star Trek, for example, because you got involved with these characters. I could tell you everything about Worf, Ezri, Jadzia, anybody from DS9. I could tell you everybody know what Captain Picard's favorite tea is. We know all these little details about these characters, but most sci-fi, they stray from that. It's all about the explosions, the battles, the oohs and the ahs. But it's like, okay, well, who's that person? What were they doing? I don't even know who that guy is. I don't care about him. Like, we need more in depth to that sci-fi. Yeah.
And the other thing that's the new trend, which isn't really a new trend, but it's been thrown in the face, is like your sexual orientation is now become a character trait. And there have been tons of characters in comics and anime, especially, who are like gay or lesbian, any walk of the LGBTQ community, and that wasn't the driving force of that persona.
Now it's in your face. They got to throw it at you.
They weren't like, look at this, the gay character. Look at this, the black character. Like, it was, look at this dynamic character. Oh, they happen to be this.
It's almost like people's character traits have become clickbait. It's like, oh, hey, we have this one homosexual actor, we have this one lesbian actor, what have you. Come watch our show because we know you'll relate to them. That shouldn't be why you want me to tune into your show.
But that's how a lot of this industry stuff is going. And I was talking to Jace about it. I was like, I'm getting tempted to walk away from the comic book industry and just focus on other aspects, because I'm just tired of either they take a character and just put like a spin on it just to say, hey, look at this character. Like, just like how they marketed that announced that Star Wars, the Star Wars spinoff, they were like, it's female driven. And it's like, well, let's start off with, hey, let's be hyped for the fact that there's another Star Wars thing coming out.
And the fact that we already had strong females in Star Wars to begin with. I mean, we don't need Rey to be that strong female force. That's like, what, you threw Leia under the bus for that? That's not
right. Leia was the old OG. She killed Jabba by herself when everybody else was afraid of Jabba.
Without the Force yet.
Clothes on, and a choker, and she took my man out with a sex chain. Like, I don't care. That's gangster. That's gangster. You killed him with a sex chain, man.
PJ,
and nobody shot her while doing it, right?
PJ, what about you? Like, do you feel that way also? I mean, I know you do, but like, if you had your way, if you wanted to make an idea, and I'm gonna ask all you guys this, besides what we're doing, if you wanted to make an idea sci-fi story within the world of what we're in, the climate of the world we're in today, how would you go about it? Like, what would be your main focal point to drive in to bring in the audience?
I would definitely do it about Brexit.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I mean,
no, on the real, like, how would you go about?
You upset my baby.
How would you go about telling like a good story without throwing a lot of political agendas in? Just being able to, or even if you are, without throwing it directly at the surface, being able to tell a good story. How would you make that in those ingredients? Like, how would you go about it? What would you do?
Well, I think that, I mean, Seth is doing what Roddenberry did, in that he will present an issue, he will explore both sides, and it's interesting because some of the issues that the way they've done, the way they're setting up the Orville, sometimes you're surprised at all the different takes on the issues that there are. But the idea is to then let the audience kind of decide. And I mean, I think that's the way to do it.
Okay. So like, okay, so now moving forward, we're gonna get back onto what we're doing with as far as A Planetary Step. As you know, we are going to be doing an upcoming fan series now. I talked over with Jason, talking with Brian, and so I decided to go with Orville fan series, and in doing so, we're definitely going to be calling it Planetary Step, which is the title of the series, but the episodes are going to have their own titles for each episode. The unique thing is we're going to be doing mini episodes, like almost like an epilogue leading into like, or a prequel or precursor, whatever you want to call it, like a mini short leading into episode number 2. So we're working on that right now. And everything.
And Eric,
yes.
Could you maybe for the audience just tell them again where the title comes from, or why that title?
A Planetary Step, basically, A Planetary Step was based on my character, David Gerald, who basically was trying to decide within the pilot episode about making changes in his life. And this is like across the board. It's about making changes, taking that next big step. People sometimes get comfortable in what they do in their daily life, but they want to also reach for better things and a better way to better themselves. But sometimes people are afraid to come out of their comfort zone, or to come out of the zone of the fear of the unknown, taking that step in the fear of the unknown, or always questioning whether or not this is the right thing to do. Am I making the right choices? A Planetary Step is based around that. Planetary Step, for the pilot episode, was about a person who had the opportunity to take that giant step within, and to me, it was taking that giant step within the planetary union. So what better way was to call it A Planetary Step, one large step for mankind, basically along those lines. And throughout the course of the series, everyone that you meet, the main cast, they're going to be taking major steps within their lives and in their careers within the confines of the Eisenberg. And you're going to see that throughout the series, introducing these new characters for the new crew, even the supporting cast members. It's going to be like a thing where I'm paying homage to a lot of different things. Also, on a personal level, taking that step in doing this fan series, taking a step to further in my career with a lot of things, and showing my love for another art form, taking those steps within life itself. I can get real deep about this, but A Planetary Step has a lot of different layers, a lot of different meanings to me. But I wanted to do something like, when you think about Star Trek, it's a trek among the stars. For me, it's a matter of taking that large step within a bigger universe. And that's what Planetary Step is all about for me. That was a good question, by the way, PJ. That's a good question. And so basically, as I was telling people, we were going to do a little surprise. Jason's been working hard putting together a lot of things. So we thought, like, as we're getting closer to the end of our QA, we're gonna take a few questions, but in the meanwhile, we're going to show an exclusive quick video of things to come of A Planetary Step. And so, if you bear with me, Jace put his heart and soul into this. So let me make sure I'm setting.
So now he's the soulless child.
You said the soulless child?
The soulless, genderless child.
I want to make sure that I'm setting this up right. And was there sound to this?
No.
Was
Negative.
there
No sound. No sound.
No sound?
We'll
Okay.
do the sound effects as it plays.
Okay.
There you go.
We'll get that engine turn over.
Aliens!
We're going to share the screen. Okay.
Oh,
And
just swipe this over.
this is the exclusive look at the Eisenberg and our title screen. And here we go. Should we show that one more time?
Yeah.
Just loop it. Just loop it on repeat.
Loop it? You want me to loop
There
it?
you
Just
go.
loop it. Just
Get that banner out of there.
Well, hold on. We're gonna one thing at a time. I'm like, huh? What banner? What? Okay, so we're gonna repeat this. Let's do this. I'm hoping it's gonna repeat. Bear with me, guys. Hopefully it will repeat. Yep.
There you
Okay.
go. There you go.
So, and again, I'm new to all this when it comes to there we go. And boom. Hold on. All right. Okay. Do you guys still see it? No?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Is it looping?
Hey!
Okay, hold on. We need to show this looping, and it needs to loop again. Okay, here we go. It should be looping. There we go. No, it's not looping. Okay. I got to talk while. Okay, now is it looping? Is it looping, guys?
Yes.
Okay. So take us through this real quick. Jace, as the public is seeing this for the first time of the Eisenberg in action and our title screen of the series, take us through what came through your mind when you wanted to put this together.
Well, I mean, it's the classic beauty shot. Trek fans will know it. Even Star Wars fans will come to know it. Ships at light speed, at warp, in this case, at quantum. You got to get that flyby. It's beautiful. Got to show off in all the proper angles.
Do you think the PJ? Do you think the Orville fan community will embrace this?
Oh yeah, of course. It's awesome.
So, like,
Do you guys want to
go ahead? What was that?
Oh, I was just going to ask Jace if he could just describe some of the differences maybe between the Eisenberg and the Orville.
Differences are going to be pretty mild, just more because, again, we had the attack on Earth from the Kaylon, so the Eisenberg is generally a response to threats like that. So we're going to have advanced weapon systems, advanced engines, so we're going to have an advanced quantum drive. So I know a lot of fans were asking about the ship being at quantum. It's going to look a little different because we're going to have a different engine, so expect a little bit more different. We have some oomph in this one. Also, size-wise, we're still kind of playing with it, but right now it's going to be either right on par with Orville, or if not, a little bit smaller, because again, we're going for more nimble. So think of it as if for Star Trek, the Borg response, we got the Defiant. In this case, we had a Kaylon response, we got the Eisenberg. So we're going to do something a little bit more smaller, more nimble, something to bark at the door when somebody comes knocking, basically.
That's gangster, son. Gangster. They ain't ready for this. They ain't ready.
No, I think the Orville fandom is definitely clamoring for more Orville, especially because we have to wait a little bit longer for season 3 to come out. And that's the thing. I wanted to do something as a fill-in while we're waiting for the Orville season 3, because I'm excited for it. Everybody's right now working on uniforms. There's so much that we're getting ready for. hold on. And the thing is that we really have a lot of surprises in store. I think people are going to be surprised what we are putting together as far as the series, as far as the fan series go. And let me get back to there we go. Hold on. There we go. Brady Bunch. Hold on. Boom. There we go. Basically, we're basically, what we're doing is we're putting together something that, hopefully is going to be encouraging other people to want to do Orville fan films, whether they're shorts, whether they're feature length. I remember Alec Peters, when I was talking with Alec Peters on his show, he talked about doing something along the lines like the history of the Union, Planetary Union, and I think it would be a great idea. I think that we need to encourage more people to want to tell their stories, even right now, in the time that we're in right now, to basically be able to tell stories and be creative. I've seen a lot of people being creative while they're staying at home. And like, again, and it wasn't like we planned this. We didn't plan that this thing was going to happen. And in the process, we were going to put this out actually for Great Philadelphia Comic-Con as a debut. It just so happened that with everything that happened, I wanted to find a way to bring a little light to whatever that's going on around us and to encourage people and inspire people. So the fact that I was able to get Brian, Joe, Jason working his butt off, coming up with ideas, JP, Jace joining up with us, and especially with Jason, I got to give it to Jason because Jason would call me up and was like, "Oh, you got to see this. I'm putting this together, and I got this new idea. What do you think?" And then I would talk to Brian, and Brian would give us his viewpoint on it. And then, it was like a process, and it was like, okay, we're getting it, we're almost there. I'm looking at the show, making sure. And I mean, again, I think the biggest compliment is to the fandom of the Orville community. I don't look at any viewpoint as a negative. I look at any viewpoint as a positive. One person said that, "Oh, you take criticism very well," because they were being objective and they were giving me, some advice or what they thought or what have you. I'm never ashamed to ask for opinions, and that's what it's all about. Some people get lost in translation when they see something. Their first response is they're saying something negative about us. And I'm like, no, they're being constructive and helping us, and it's only going to better me. It's only going to better Jason. It's only going to better Brian. It's only going to better all of us who are putting together something positive. And
Joe's
that's
already perfect.
Right. We need more positivity. In a sea of negativity, we want more positive, and without any kind of agenda or anything, we just want to tell stories. We want to tell stories. And because we're so much of fans of the Orville, and because we're waiting to get our Orville fix, this is the next best thing. And like I said, again, the response I've gotten, I'm hoping that eventually Seth MacFarlane will get a chance to see it. So that's going to be the coup de grace for us, the Mount Everest, for him to check it out, and hopefully, God willing, he'll like what he sees.
Eric.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Well, I'll ask another one then. I want to ask all of you, why are you guys dedicating your time to the Orville and not, I don't know, The Expanse or Trek or some other sci-fi series? What is it about the Orville? Maybe each of you
answer first, or you guys want to answer first?
Maybe ask Joe first, ladies first.
Joe, go for it.
Well, one, Eric told me I was going to do this.
Oh, okay.
So
right? Like, Jason knows. He's like, I got this idea, and you're like, okay, I'm already signed up. Like, just tell me what I need to do. Just do it. And on a serious note, I love sci-fi, so to get the opportunity to do something creative and something that hasn't, really been done, like, who wouldn't want to do that? Like, so, and it's exciting. Like, this is a new series. We've done Dread, we've done Star Trek. We've done Doctor Who. We've done Spawn. The next, another great series. Why not? And now that it's going to be a series, like, I'm sold. I've already like signed my name.
Brian.
Oh, that's me. My turn. Basically, and I do have a sniper over here, making sure that I answer this correctly. Eric is very, very good about the people he hires. No, for me, it's kind of twofold. I like making movies. I love making stories. I've done it for a long time. And now we have all like the resources and the talented people and the like-minded people who are interested in telling these kind of stories and making films together. And we always have a blast on set. We always have great time together. But on the flip side of it, I was kind of interested when Eric was working on a Star Trek film series. I was kind of interested in that side. I had done Doctor Who, and I want to continue doing Doctor Who, and I have aspirations to do other non-franchise films and so on. But there's a lot of different things that I like that I'd like to dip my hands into. And Star Trek, I thought that would be fun, but then Star Trek had limitations, and you couldn't enter that world anymore. And I was a little bummed out by that. And when he presented me with this, I thought, you know what, this is kind of great, because the Orville filled a void that Star Trek wasn't filling for me on TV anymore anyway. And hadn't done for a long time, in my personal opinion. And I really enjoyed what I saw of the Orville, and I thought it was great. I liked what they were doing, and it was more of a blank canvas. It was a more kind of, it was a new world to dip your toes into, and yet still familiar. So you could still tell the kind of stories that you wanted to see. So I was interested in that kind of angle. And I thought with a little bit more freedom given to it, it presented itself as a very interesting opportunity.
Okay. Good answer. All right. Wait. Okay.
Does that satisfy you all? Good. Okay.
Yeah.
I can turn this.
Yeah.
You can order the sniper away now, Eric.
You can put the rifle away. Okay. Jace, what about you?
Sir? I'm still Joe's phrase. That's a loaded question. Sci-fi is beautiful. It's a way to escape reality, but yet still be involved in stories that you can relate to, but just in a different setting. And there's always a solution, no matter what. There's never been anything in Trek or whatever. There's never we don't have an answer to your problem. There's always an answer to a problem. So it could be that person in real life having a bad day, struggling with some kind of illness or a disease or a habit, alcoholism, what have you. Somebody in some sci-fi shows dealt with it and resolved it, and they have a way around it. And that's something people can learn from, get inspired from, and just be a better person. Like for me, it was Star Trek. Their whole motto about living to better yourself, not worrying about greed or gain or any kind of material item, it's just being a better version of you. That's what sci-fi is all about. Being better, advancing yourself. And that's what the Orville's also doing. And we're going to continue that on the Eisenberg.
And what about you, Jason? Before I answer, what about you?
I'm black.
Besides that,
me too.
We're getting that T-shirt made up right now.
Yeah, right.
we already got the meats. We got the meats T-shirt. Now we got
We got I'm black as a T-shirt.
Well, I make black men cry. You know, pick your choice.
Oh yeah, we got to make that. We got to make I make black men cry shirts. Like, now for me, why I became a part of this project, it's one of those I'm ride or die for Eric, because like he's helped me out and been look at him making him cry.
I ain't crying.
Super power.
Make him blush. It's really hard. I've done it once.
So like Eric's helped me out from day one. Got me into the wrestling biz back in the day. That was the dopest thing. I was looking at him like, this guy wants to be my friend. Like, and then, we met in like the party scenes, because I used to be like I was like phony Stark, because like I had some money, but like I'm just this dude.
And mind you, this is when we were both single. So this to make it, this to get it cleared up.
Oh, yeah,
We were
yeah,
both single.
definitely. I was single.
Yeah, we
And
were
I
both
was in
single.
them streets. I was in them streets. But like, you know, like throughout the years, just finding out how nerdy he was, and I was like, that's so cool because I'm so nerdy too. And then we bonded over Justice League, the cartoon, and you know, classic anime. So then throughout the years, I was like, yo, I'm gonna be working on these projects, and just to give you guys an idea of why I'm ride or die. This is the one thing he did that, like, back in 2014, that like solidified, like, I got his back no matter what. Same with Brian, because I was telling
Make me cry.
everybody, yeah, well, it's real though, because like I was telling everybody, hey, I'm gonna start this convention. Like I already had it going for like a year or two, like small, super small, like in a sushi house small. But like when it really wasn't a sushi house. Like when I wanted to like expand it to like being a con, like having vendors and all this other stuff, I wanted to do stuff that was different that you didn't see in the industry. One of them was a commercial. I wanted to do a commercial for my convention. Now back then, conventions weren't doing commercials. And then I wanted to take it a step further and was like, how cool would it be to have superheroes and all this stuff in the convention, like in a commercial? Like it would look like the craziest thing ever. And I had signed up 20 cosplayers to meet me in this like desolate area in the like crack of dawn to shoot this first commercial, because I told them, yo, I'm gonna put this on Cartoon Network by hook or by crook. Problem was, these 20 people, 14 of them didn't believe me and bailed on me literally an hour before shooting. The people that were there for me, Brian and Eric, were one of the six. Were two of the 6 people that stayed with me. I had to rewrite the commercial, and we did the commercial, and it was the coolest thing. Just watching Cartoon Network and seeing these guys rock it. Yo, he was the doctor. Brian was people were freaking out when they saw that commercial. They were like, "Did you get the actual doctor on there?" Because like they were just like blown away. They're like, "How'd you get those special effects? That dude's a giant robot. How'd he do that?" And I'm like, "These are my friends. Like these are my dope cosplay friends. This is my family." And like ever since then, Eric, you guys have always been with me on everything and like help me out. You've been Thanos, you've been M. Bison in all my different Cartoon Network shoots. I'm getting Brian back in on this stuff because he's got no choice. Joe, she already knows she's in a situation because like I said so. And but like because you guys have been like ride or die, Eric said, hey, I want to bring you on as the director for this. And he's also seen me my film work, you know, so he knows I'm direct, I get stuff done, I make it work. And he asked me, and I, without even a second thought, I was like, yeah. And then he told me that Brian was in on it. I was like, oh, bet. Then he was like, Joe's in on it too. I was like, nah, this is just a perfect bet of love. And so I'm here and I ain't going nowhere. And if somebody got a problem with it, they could fight me. Like, that's but with love.
And I mean, like when we did the commercial, talk more about that. How we did that commercial, because that was crazy. That was a crazy moment.
Yeah, I was stressing out because I had 4 factions of warriors. They were supposed to be like the anime characters. Then it was gonna be like Marvel and DC characters. Then it was supposed to be like live action characters, like from live action shows, and like all this other stuff. And it was supposed to be this big war scene. And an hour before, I had like one representation of each. And I was like, well, that's not a war. And look at that hair. Look at that hair on that doctor boy. And like, and this is back when like this is 2014. This ain't like oh, we got these fancy super cameras and all this stuff. It was like me, my boy Forrest. Yeah, and like I was the director, and I was like, this is what I want. I had to change up the whole script idea because now the army of like 20 actors turned into 6 people. I was like, okay, we just gonna have to make this one easy. And like every one of these commercials, I see Melissa talking, that was a hot day. Yeah, every one of these commercials was always a hot day because as you see, there's no covering. It is just, the sun is out and it's just beaming down. And I'm gonna tell you this as fact right here. Because I made this cosplay like commercial for my convention, now every con is doing it. I started that thing, and now everybody doing it. You see, I got New York Comic Con doing that. Like I'm like, ha! But I ain't gonna never get no credit. It's all right though. I ain't y'all see all my wacky videos. I'm always doing something silly.
And the answer, because we're going to be ending this feed in a few minutes, to answer the question also on my end, what made me decide to pick the Orville, first off, because it was fresh, it was new. I respected the fact that Seth MacFarlane, first off, I love him as a creator. I love his style, his humor. Everything is basically on the level. He comes from my generation, so he basically is in tune. The fact that he did his own Star Trek fan films when he was younger, he appeared on Enterprise and everything. So automatically he was a fan. He wasn't just an actor or a writer who just said, I want to do a show. He was a fan, and that's what drew me in. And when I started watching Orville, right from the door, I was worried that it was going to be a lot of like over the top humor, and instead it really surprised. It was a pleasant surprise. And I was like, okay, I got hooked. I was like, okay, I'm hooked. I mean, I love The Expanse. I love Babylon 5. I love Star Trek. I love just about anything sci-fi related. But the Orville holds a special place in my heart for a lot of different reasons. And I'm like, you know what? I can totally vibe off this and do something with this and do my own stories. And at the same time, we don't have to be serious. We can have fun. We can come out of the woodwork and write something. When we did Planetary Step, the pilot, and JP and I are talking, and he comes out of the woodwork and said, "You got the meats," and we started going back and forth. And then at the end of the conversation, when it came out of nowhere, when JP says, "Yeah, I'm gonna go synthesize some condoms, peace," I was just like, and I started breaking out laughing. But again, that's the fun part. It's almost like realism, because we know that not everything is so serious, but you throw that humor in there that shows a human side of life sometimes. And sometimes you do need that human side, that humor, but that human part of it. And that's what I love about the Orville. It shows a human side, and it's not just, and it's deep, because some of the writing on that, 1 minute you're thinking it's going to go one way, and then the story takes you in a whole different direction. You're like, what the what? So if you don't believe me, check out season 2 and you'll understand. So it was a lot of stuff that really just drew me in. And I was just, like I said, I had to tackle that. I wanted to tell my stories within the Orville universe. So there you go, PJ. That's my answer to that.
Good answer. By the way, I think we should also congratulate Seth and Tom Costantino for not limiting the fandom with the fan films.
In fact, Tom Costantino, I remember when we debuted the poster, he asked if we could show off the poster, and he debuted our poster, which to me, and thank you, special shout out to Tom. Thank you so much, Tom. Really, like that was, I mean, I was honored. I was very honored. And the special shout out to Seth for showing off my when I wore my Orville captain's uniform and all. Thank you, Seth, for tweeting me on your page and giving me that inspiration to want to do fan films within your universe. And yeah, and it feels good because it's like a sandbox. While we're still keeping everything on a respectable level, we're not looking to make money. This is definitely nonprofit. It's not about making money. It's just about telling stories and having fun. With all these creative, talented people that we have right now that are live with us right now, that took time out of their busy schedules, that have all these other projects and everything going on, to believe enough in me to want to do this, that speaks in volumes. They're to me, they're the MVPs to me, all of them, including you, PJ, because again, you're taking time to do this. And a special shout out to my buddy JP, because he was one of my inspirations, and he always brought the positive side to Egotastic Fun Time. So again, I got to give him a shout out.
Yeah, let me just say, Eric, that JP has inspired all of us, and he's kind of like the fearless leader of our Orville community.
Agreed. I totally agree with you on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's see. So basically, we are done with our Q&A. We're going to be doing, I'm going to probably do another live feed in another week to try to introduce the cast members. We'll be making an announcement next Wednesday on Twitter of our main cast. We finished casting the main cast, so we're going to be making an announcement to everyone who's their main cast. So you're going to get a chance to meet them. We're hopefully going to do another live feed where we'll have the cast members on, and hopefully you guys will spread the word. Tune in. But before we close out, we're going to go around the room and have everyone tell us everyone who's here, tell us what you got coming up and where everyone can find you guys at. Starting with Joe.
Sorry, I put myself on mute. You can find me at Joe Colton Cosplay on Facebook or Joe Colton Cosplay on YouTube, which I recently made a YouTube channel and will be uploading a bunch of stuff. And I am on TikTok as well, I guess now. That's what people are doing. And also I'm on Twitch as Joe Colton Cosplay. So I just started that as well. So.
Okay, Brian.
Boy, we all love that mute button, don't we? So, I think, like I said, you can pretty much find me anywhere just by searching Terra Solo. But I am on Twitter, a little less these days, more so on the Instagrams, as the kids call it. Pretty much making films on YouTube. That's more so as you do. Yeah, I mean, just keep an eye out for Eric's feed. You'll probably see my name in there somewhere because we're going to be doing some stuff together. Maybe even making a couple of other announcements at some point in the future as well.
It's timey-wimey,
yeah.
All that good stuff.
Yeah, all that stuff. And yeah, that's it. And I'm sure that guy all the way up there, Jason's going to be having my name somewhere as well, because I'm going to be looking for his name too. So I'm going to be working with y'all on this screen right here. That's it. Look for all of us.
Jace, what about you?
I'm pretty much everywhere. Just type in Jace Knockout Productions, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Behance, pretty much all my major platforms. And as far as for anything coming up, keep an eye on me and this guy over here, Jason.
Why are everybody pointing at me though?
Because you are the source, my man. You are the source. He has his VT Heroes, which you're going to see lots of. I'm working with him on that. So keep an eye out for that. Buy a copy when the game comes out, or I'll find you.
I'm actually one of his heroes, so I'm actually on his crew. Before Jason, I want to get to you real quick before I go to PJ last.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, you can find me at J1 Studios on all social media. No, you can check me out on Instagram as official J1 Studios. There's J1 Studios Twitter. There's J1 Studios on Facebook. J1 Con, like the letter J, number 1, CON, for short for convention. You can find the Instagram, the Twitter, and the Facebook for that. Yeah, look at that. Look, it's like Inception. Y'all trip. You can also, see, behind me are these helmets. These are my VT heroes. And yeah. You can, this is the live action version of my power, hero type show. and game. So VT Heroes, the only way you can see it is on Instagram. So that's the only place, unless you're a friend of mine on Facebook, but I'm at the limit now, so we can't be friends.
Don't you have a J1 Studios fan page?
There's a like the Facebook page for that, but I'm keeping everything every now and then I sprinkle VT Heroes in there, but I try to keep as much VT Heroes just to the Instagram.
Okay.
Just so it's easier for me to monitor because I got to still make the games.
And what about J1 Con?
Oh well, we have so far, and we have J1 Con still is here. Still is going to be November 13th through the 15th, God willing.
Only time will tell.
It's in Atlantic City, yeah, right? Cross them fingers, make them prayers, do whatever you got to do. Because I do this out of my pocket. I literally gamble my savings every year to put the convention together and hope that people buy tickets and tables to come to it.
It better happen. I need Danae and Yanae time.
Right? Yeah, take the ladies. And, the baby will be guarded by security, but the baby may be there.
I won't steal your baby.
You see that look? See that look? That's why I have armed guards for my baby. That is why.
And we're going to end this out with, before I say anything, sorry guys, before I say anything else, PJ, is there anything that you want for fans to be able to tune in and find you and all that good stuff? Where can they find you at?
They can find me on YouTube at Orville Nation, and actually tomorrow, Eric is going to be with us because we're going to be interviewing Orville actor Rico Anderson, who played the Mocklin doctor in season 1 about a girl.
Awesome.
And the day after, on Friday, the gentleman upstairs here, Jason, is going to be our guest at 5 p.m.
I feel like we're on the Brady Bunch, man. Like the way Jason's here's a story. We're looking down, looking up, we're looking all around.
So it's going to be a planetary step next 48 hours.
Wow.
On Orville Nation.
That's going to be awesome. And I can't wait to be on there. And for myself, please, everyone, thank you all for tuning in. Help spread the word. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Smoke 007. Pass the word. Share this video. Thank you all to everyone out there in Orville Nation, Eagle-tastic Funtime Nation, to all of my fellow Orville fans. Thank you to the cast and crew of the Orville. Seth MacFarlane, you rock. Thank you to all my guests, Jason, Jace, Brian, Joe, and PJ. Also, to follow me to find out what else is going on, check me out on Instagram, The Smoke 007, and on Twitter for all new updates of what's coming up next with A Planetary Step, and that's under The Smoke 000. So that's The Smoke 000 on Twitter. And again, guys, we want to thank everyone who tuned in. Stay tuned for more updates, more videos, and everything else that comes along with A Planetary Step. I want to thank you, myself, the creator, Eric the Smoke Moran, and all my guests here. And we will be seeing you very soon. Jolo. And until then, peace and hair grease, because you guys got the meats.
Got the meats.